When to start weave pulls for my agility dog. I strongly encourage you to have a great foundation of strength and fitness and body awareness and flexibility. I personally don't even consider it until my dogs are well over a year old, maybe 14 to 16 months. With a smaller dog, maybe 14 months. But there's so many things that I want to do first. Skills that make them a great family pet are my number one. Agility comes next. There's no rush on agility skills. Guys, there is absolutely no rush. Okay, when you train running contacts, do you use a target mat? Yes, I do. I used to use a bed, and I still do with wee puppies. I think it's fun to get them to target a bed. Then I put my target in the bed, and it's all in Agility Nation. If you're a member of Agility Nation, what I do with the target mat for running contact training. Do you think nervous or reactive dogs can do agility and enter competitions? I think it is absolutely possible if you are patient with the dog and let them tell you when they are ready. If you build in the layers and don't put your desire to do agility ahead of the dog's comfort in an agility environment. If you do it slow, which means do a lot of the foundational things at home away from any stressful environment, the answer is 100% yes. They will continue to bloom and flourish before your eyes, and you'll see a different dog come through the sport of agility. It's amazing what it does to the confidence level of dogs who are a little less confident. How many times a week do you recommend to practice agility? What is overtraining? It depends on the age of the dog, the breed of the dog, the fitness. So I don't do much agility training until the dog has great fitness and body awareness. And if the dog lacks drive, then the dog is the one who decides what overtraining is. That's based on their attitude towards what you're doing. And you don't wait until they go, oh, I don't like this anymore, and then quit, because then you're teaching the dog that agility is no fun. You always want to quit when on a high note. And if you have a dog who is a high drive dog, the length and width of their tongue at the end will tell me when it's time to quit. So you never want a dog's tongue to start curling. Therefore, when I'm training in the hot weather, my training sessions might only be, less than a minute long. And when it's cooler out, my training sessions are still not much more than maybe 2 minutes. Depends on what I'm really training. Do you ever feel like a dog can't be trained in agility no matter how hard you work? If you go back to the question about can this game-based training work, or is there a time when it doesn't work? I think within the context of agility, you've got to ask yourself, is a dog in pain? Is a dog injured? Are they structurally able to do the things that I'm asking them to do? If the answer is, yeah, we can do those things, and no, my dog's not in pain, and no, my dog's not injured, I've been to the veterinarian, I've had them thoroughly checked out, this seems to be that they're just not enjoying what they're doing, then I would go and check out the 2 podcasts I did about this, because it was a diet problem that caused the lack of motivation towards the sport. If all of those things are not the dog's problem, then you've got to go back to what I mentioned before. Is it the protocols that you're using to teach the dog? Is it the environment that you're trying to train in? Is it your application of those protocols? Is it the reinforcement you're using? There is a reason. I think that any dog should be able to be taught to love any kind of dog sport. It really depends on your approach to it, provided the dog is physically sound and they're not in any pain. What age do you start training contacts in dog agility? When do you do full courses, and what foundations do the puppies need to have? Easy answer for foundation is all the great skills to be an amazing family pet. That should be the number one foundation. Beyond that, yes, there's a lot of handling skills that we need to teach our dogs on the flat. My dogs don't see any real agility obstacles, maybe a jump bump for their grids. They do some grids when they're puppies, but nothing serious until they're closer to a year old. My contact, I just do the targeting on a flat mat or a raised mat when they're puppies or adolescent puppies. And I don't really start growing that contact behavior until they're close to a year old or older, really. It really depends on the dog. So a dog like this, we really didn't progress very fast at all. 18 months, she had pretty much none of it. So let the dog be the guide. Are there any disadvantages or severe downsides to having a dog trained in multiple sports? For example, ring sport, agility, obedience. And how can I work around the disadvantages? I think it's actually really, really good for dogs to cross-train in multiple sports. The only downside is if behaviors get away from you. So there's going to be foundation behaviors. For example, if you did sheep herding and competition obedience, maybe you want your dog focusing so penetratingly on you for competition obedience, but sheep sheep herding, we really want them to have the freedom to do a little bit of work and balancing the flock on their own. So there's got to be some freedom for the dog to work the flock as they see fit. So it really depends how the sports that you're choosing balance one another. Are there skills that maybe if you're doing flyball and agility, maybe you need to do extra jump grids in agility depending on the dog. A dog like this, flyball has been one of the best things for her and for her jumping. So depends on the dog and depends on the sports. But I think having a dog in more than one sport is so good for their brain, but also make sure that you don't turn into like a parent who has their kid enrolled in every single sport and the kid really gets a bit sour on all this activity and they really don't have joy for any of it. If that's your guide, I think you're going to be fine. How does one get into the agility world? We have an online program, Handling 360. Anybody can join that and learn from the ground up how to have an amazing agility dog and have fun doing it. How do you stop the zoomies in the agility ring? I think the zoomies are your dog communicating that they need more clarity in your handling. So I would look at Handling 360 to really get great understanding in how you've put the layers of learning together for your dog in the agility ring. Now, if you say, Susan, my handling is spot on, my dog's got amazing foundation, and you just get the odd zoomie, maybe you just overwhelm the dog with the environment that you put them in. But what I see is in most cases, the dog, it's a communication problem because the dog is confused by the handling and the lack of foundation of how to drive a path from obstacle to obstacle. Most people, when they're training agility, they focus on the obstacles, reef pulls, contacts, jumps. They don't focus on the path that connects those obstacles, and that's when dogs get confused. So a lot of questions, and I've only scratched the surface of the questions you guys sent in. Thank you for your questions, and we are going to do this again because there's a lot of great questions I do want to answer, and some, as I said, will be episodes on their own.